Now, I probably wouldn't say this in front of white folk, but in front of y'all, I'm gonna speak my mind. Take it slow.
This is Rell Talk the Podcast. I'm your host, Rell. Don't forget to like this show on iTunes and SoundCloud and follow me on Instagram at raleighrell. On today's show, I want to talk about the recent police shootings in Baton Rouge and Dallas, Texas, as well as the reason for these shootings in Minneapolis and Baton Rouge. As a young black male, I see myself and I saw myself in Gavin Long and Micah Johnson. Both of these brothers are around my age, and to see them get so frustrated with the system that they have a all or nothing mentality, they have a I'll die for mine mentality, I see how they could have gotten to this point. I see how a young black male who is so frustrated with a system that's designed for them to fail, no matter how hard they work, no matter how much money they make, no matter how educated they are. In fact, the Federal Reserve just came out with a study that says the more education African Americans acquire is not closing the wealth gap. Meaning, we're told to get out and get something. Go get an education, better yourselves. But the Federal Reserve just reported in a study done this year, they're saying that that doesn't close the wealth gap. And the reason being is that even with a higher education, even with, more resources, we still have to depend on white companies to hire us, and they're still discriminating against us simply because we're black. And that's what white Americans don't want to accept. They don't want to accept that even though I have an education, I have a master's or a bachelor's or whatever, they'll say, now you have the same opportunity I have. But that's not the case, because when I go apply for the job, they may not hire me simply because my name is ghetto sounding, or simply because, I have a zip code that's, unappealing, or just because I'm black. And these studies have been proven over and over again by, quote unquote, smart people and the people who break down statistics. If you look at the shooting with Micah Johnson in Dallas, Texas, he said, I'm tired of police officers killing black people. If you look at Gavin Long, they tried to make him be a part of Black Lives Matter, the Black Panther Party, the Nation of Islam, and he made a video. He made a video, and it's exactly what he said.
Oh, and this is very important. I wanted to let y'all know, because if anything happened with me, because I'm an alpha male, I stand up, I stand firm, and I stand for mine till the end, to the last day in this flesh. But I'm not the flesh. I'm not the body. I have a body. But I just want to let y'all know, don't affiliate me with nothing. I'm not affiliated with the Black Business School, even though I might promote their business or something like that, or any of my friends, any of my associations. Those are just associations. I'm not affiliated with it. Yeah, I was also a Nation of Islam member. I'm not affiliated with it. Don't affiliate me with the money team. Something happened, they be like, well, yeah, we was with Floyd Mayweather. No, don't affiliate me with nothing. Black Business School, I was a Christian. I was in Africa. Don't try to say, oh, he was Africa, he was this and that. No. They'll try to put you with ISIS or some other terrorist group or anything. No. I'm affiliated with the spirit of justice.
So he said, I'm affiliated with the spirit of justice. So some may call him a martyr. I won't say that, because one of the officers he killed was a black officer. And I don't, I'm gonna be honest with y'all, I don't think killing officers is the way to get our problem solved. I just don't. You know what I mean? It's just, that ain't gonna get it done, people. I mean, I'm sorry. This brother, like I said before, Gavin Long specifically, if anybody knows me, knows that, I see myself in this brother more than many, because I podcast, I shoot videos for YouTube just trying to enlighten people, and I wasn't always this way, but, as I started to quote unquote wake up, and I hate that term now because, white Americans have turned that into slander almost, they make fun of the word woke people. You know what I mean? So I just say, as I began to educate myself more, outside of, the structure of, American education, I know more things now than I knew back then. And, this brother seems to be kind of in that same mode. You know what I mean? He's doing his own thing. And he had his own podcast, had a lot of followers. I mean, he was doing his thing. And so, he had a lot to lose. You know what I mean? I'm sure, he had to come to grips with a decision that he was going to make. And he knew that the only way out of whatever he was going to do was death. I know he knew that. And for him to do this meant that he was so fed up with this system that is designed to kill us, incarcerate us, and to keep us under their foot. I know some of us are doing well. And those people will probably say, hey, there's other ways to go about it. But he and Micah Johnson, I don't think they thought there was another way. Micah Johnson was trained by the military, and so was his brother. Both of these brothers were military people. So it was okay for them to kill for their country. It was okay for them to have guns in their hands when they were killing other people. But when they turned the guns on cops for feeling a certain type of way, now, America, wants to cast these guys as terrorists. But America created these guys. America created this type of society where people are no longer putting up with this. They're just not. And, guys like Micah and guys like Gavin, they're like, yo, listen, I got a point to prove. And the only way people are going to listen to me is if I take one of them out. Because marching doesn't seem to work. Taking money and putting it in black banks isn't working quick enough. There aren't enough black-owned restaurants and stores for us to have a true alternative to where we can stop spending money with, people that don't look like us. So their only option, they felt as though, was to take life. And I don't agree with it at all, but I understand it. I understand why somebody would say, listen, no more of that. Today is the last day I'll put up with this oppression and blatant racism. You see, he paid the ultimate price for taking a life. And our argument is simply, when cops take lives, they don't pay an ultimate price. They get paid leave, get a free vacation, and then get back to work just to do it again. And that's what the whole Black Lives Matter movement is about. We've been down at the hands of officers since the inception of the officer as we know it. And then when people say, what about black on black crime? It's like, hey, look, listen, when a black man kills a black man, one of those black men goes to prison. He's held accountable for the crime he's committed. But when a cop kills us, they don't admit to their mistakes. They simply criminalize the one that's dead. Criminal record comes out from 40 years ago, 20 years ago. Tamir Rice was shot in 2 seconds in an open carry state, even though it was a toy gun. Even though he was, I guess they say he was a little bigger than the average 12-year-old, but it doesn't matter. It's an open carry state, so he had the right to carry the gun if he was a grown man carrying a gun. It was their job to say, sir, let me see your paperwork. But they didn't even give anything a chance. They rolled up and shot him. Nobody was held accountable. And white Americans say, well, he shouldn't have had a toy gun. I live in the South. I grew up playing with BB guns, put them in my pocket like they was real pistols, riding my bike with a Daisy rifle on my back, and never even thought about it. That's how I was raised. But you're going to tell me that we can't do that today without the fear of being shot by the police? And furthermore, my parents get to watch society not care, and for police to justify killing me or my son or my nephew or my neighbor's kids. The guy, Micah Johnson in Dallas, they said he was a loner, and then they say he was part of the new Black Panther Party. So what? The old Black Panther Party wasn't a violent group. And if they did get violent, it was to protect African Americans from being hurt through police brutality. So they were a reactive group. You know what I mean? They reacted to police brutality. You know, when it was legal for police to bash a young black man in the head, to drag a woman down the street. It was legal for that. So the Black Panther Party was like, yo, not today, you not. And so I'm sure the new Black Panther Party has the same exact ideology, but society and the media is trying to paint the new Black Panther Party as this terrorist group. And he said before they killed him that I'm not a part of any group. And now they're saying, oh, they've been able to verify that he was a part of a group. Listen, they're trying to villainize black men all over again. That's just a fact, people. I'm sorry. And it ain't never going to change. It ain't never going to change. Listen to what one of Micah Johnson's old friends said about him after it was all said and done. I mean, it kind of shows you who this guy was, that he wasn't an angry, violent, history like George Zimmerman type of guy.
Yeah. He was actually really outgoing and really funny. He was one of the first friends I met when I got to Horn. And we were always joking and laughing. We were kind of similar in high school. Our group was like the outcasts. So, you know, I was a skateboarder, I played guitar, I was in band, and our other friends was in choir, and he was in ROTC, so we all naturally gravitated towards each other, you know. He was really outgoing and funny. You couldn't go a day without him making you laugh at least twice a day.
So many people talk about these lone gunmen as lone.
So, you know, they always want to test somebody's character. So when a white kid goes and shoots up a school, they have nothing but positive things to say about him. Or theater, they have nothing but positive things to say about him. And the media's attention is like, well, what happened? What happened? You know, why would he do this? And they never really villainize these people. They almost make them as if like something traumatic happened, molestation or, you know, abuse led them to it. Okay, maybe that is the case. But you see in this situation right here, this guy saying he was a happy-go-lucky guy. You know, I even saw a video where a lady said that he used to walk her kid to school. Now, if that ain't a good guy, I don't know what is. Somebody you trust with your kids and they do the right thing. Come on, man. But again, people will say, what happened to make him snap? I'll tell you what. Racism, discrimination, oppression. That's what. But for some odd reason, that's not a good excuse. For some odd reason, that's not a good excuse for somebody snapping. Racism will drive you insane. Dr. Boyce Watkins, who's a good brother. Matter of fact, the Black Business School, which is the institute that Gavin Long mentioned in this video, that's Dr. Boyce Watkins. What it pretty much is Dr. Boyce Watkins is a professor by trade. Smart guy, PhD in finance, master's degree, all that good stuff. But anyway, he has his online courses. My son actually takes these courses. He has a course, 15 things every black child should know about money. And I'll tell you, my son is 9 years old and he is learning finance on a freshman level in high school. So when Gavin said in the video that he wasn't affiliated with them, meaning I took some classes, but I don't know nobody there, that shows me that he's even more like me because he's trying to better himself. That school is strictly for entrepreneurs. If you ain't no entrepreneur, you ain't even gonna sign up for that class because it costs money. And the only reason you would spend money on that is because you like, yo, I gotta make a change. But in the midst of trying to better himself, then you see young brothers that look just like you dying in the streets, and society's like, your fault, your fault, your fault, criminal record, black on black crime. Everything that society's saying, it makes you feel worthless. And I'm saying this to y'all from the mouth and the mind of a 30-year-old black male. Everything makes you feel worthless. Thank God my son has me because he asked me today. He asked me today, Dad, what are all these protests going on? Every time I'm turning to Nickelodeon or every time I'm turning to Disney, I always scroll past a news channel and there's a protest somewhere. What is going on? And I had to tell him, son, we are dying in the streets. And I also tell my son about black on black violence when we kill each other. I'm telling y'all, just last week, my brother's stepson was gunned down by a black man. So I understand. I would be remiss to come on here every day and talk about cops killing us in the streets without acknowledging the fact that we kill each other. So black people are getting it from all facets. You see, but black on black crime comes from us living amongst each other and everybody being poor. See, the black community is a third world country. We don't want to admit it, but the black community is like a third world country within America. Everybody is cramming for the same resources, which is pretty much nothing. Everybody is trying to get a hold of what little resources the black community does have. In the black community where there are no jobs, the only industry, and it's sad to say this, is drugs. If I got one corner and you got one corner and we all trying to sell drugs to the same fiends and the same crackheads, if you take my crackhead or you sell drugs to my crackhead, I'm probably going to try to kill you. So white people, that's what black on black crime is. We're living in a third world country. And I could break down for y'all how ghettos were started. These third world countries I'm talking about, full of black people, these were created by the government. That's why I say black on black crime is not entirely our fault, because most of us don't know another way. But that's another show for another day. I just wanted to tell y'all that most African American males between the ages of 35 and 25, when we see Gavin Long and Micah Johnson, we see ourselves. We see ourselves because sometimes you wake up and you don't know if you're going to get bored and you're going to die. You don't know if you're going to get fired from your job because the boss is like, I'm tired of these black people, want handouts. I just don't want to deal with any of them. You're fired. We don't know. We don't know whether we're going to go apply for an apartment and they're going to, deny us simply because we're black. We don't know. We don't know when we step in an elevator and a person who's beside us decides not to get in with us. We don't know if they don't need to get on or whether it's because we're black. We don't know. We don't know if that because we're walking through a door and somebody doesn't hold the door for us, whether they didn't see us or whether it's just because we were black. We don't know. And no other race of people have to deal with that. That will drive anybody insane to go through that every single day. And if you're the one people saying no excuse to pick ourselves up by our bootstraps, white Americans never had to do that. Those jobs were there for the taking, as long as you weren't black. Thank y'all for tuning in. As I always say, y'all go be great. Rell Talk, the podcast.